This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and in this video we're going to check out the Manfrotto PIXI EVO, which I've been testing for the past 6 months. Let's dive in. So as you can see, this is a mini tripod. It is very small, and we're going to go over all the different things that you can do with it. So first things first, obviously we have 3 legs here. That's what makes it a tripod. And there are a few things you can do with these legs. There is an adjustment here that you can switch how the angle of the leg. So right now it's on the, I guess you'd call it the taller angle. And if you go like this, you'll get a little bit even more. So you get closer to the ground. So I didn't use that one as much unless I was trying to get like an RC shot of like some grasses or something like that. I typically just kept it in the higher one because I wanted to get it above like, just to get it out of the way of things. So even when you're in the higher setting, it's just really not that tall. You do have some different leg motion you can do here. So these legs do open like this. I believe it's 6 different stops you can have on the track there. So it does get a bit taller with the legs, but even then, it's a mini tripod. You're not getting that high. And obviously I think that they did this to make it a more sturdy tripod for heavier cameras. So you can use pretty heavy cameras on this. And because of the way the legs are, it's very sturdy. It's not going to fall over or anything like that. They obviously could have made it a bit taller, but it becomes less sturdy for those heavier cameras. So I was able to use my Fuji X-T3. I know it's pretty dated at this point. On top of this without issue. I also used my GoPro on it a ton. I really liked using my GoPro on it because I could kind of use it just as like a handle like this. And then when I wanted to get a still shot or like a time lapse or something like that, I could set it like this and then use it. So I really liked how versatile it was for that. And then also with a point and shoot film camera that had a self timer for taking selfies and stuff like that, or just group pictures, not selfies, I should say. So I really do like the size of it. It isn't the smallest tripod around, but I really like the ball head. So that's another thing that I think is really important to note about this tripod is the ball head is very sturdy, especially for a mini tripod. A lot of times you buy cheaper mini tripods on Amazon, and the legs and stuff work fine. Maybe they're not super durable, but the ball head or the tripod head is never that great. And I found that pretty much in every instance that I used it, this ball head performed how I wanted it to, whether I was using my mirrorless camera, my GoPro, or a film camera. The only time that it ever faulted a little bit was when I think I put a little bit too much weight on it and was shooting in portrait mode like this. So that was the only time that I felt like maybe it slipped a little bit, but I think that was more on me than on the tripod. So very happy with how that's held up. And even when I think I put too much weight on it and I was shooting horizontally, it wasn't a problem. I just always made sure that if I had like a longer lens, it was in line with one of these legs. And it has really held up well. I've taken this on a trip. I think I took this to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I know I took it to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I took it to Chicago, and I've taken it on a bunch of road trips and just done a ton of different things with this with a bunch of different cameras, and it has performed very well. And it's held up well too. I mean, it does have a aluminum, these legs here are aluminum, but there is a lot of plastic going on here as well. So I was worried when I first got this that the plastic was not going to hold up, but it really has held up well. And I always get worried too that these are going to kind of loosen over time and not hold. And it's holding just as well as it did when I got it. And I was just planning on using it with my GoPro, but after I tried it with my Fuji X-T3 and it held up well, I've really just used it with pretty much everything. So very happy with just how it has performed, and the construction has surprised me because there is a lot of plastic here. We do have some rubberized feet here on the bottom, which help with slippery surfaces. They aren't, if you're gonna put it on something that's like super wet and super slippery, they're not gonna help that much, but for general use, like if it's on like the wet ground, or like if you're setting it up on top of a fence or something like that and that's wet, it's not going to slip around too much. And it's just a very helpful tripod, but as I mentioned, it's not the most tall even when you do extend it all the way out, so you still have to get creative whether you're putting that on a bench, putting it on a fence, or just getting creative with how you are holding it to take your shots. So as I've mentioned, this thing it's not tiny. It's a mini tripod, but it is not tiny. It's not going to fit in your pocket or anything like that. I did fit into one of my larger coat pockets, but that's a really big coat pocket when it was a bit colder when I first got this thing, I think in May or something like that. So the best place that I found to stow this personally was in a water bottle pocket. So typically the bags that I test and a lot of the bags I own personally have 2 water bottle pockets. So I'm putting a water bottle in one of them and I was putting this in the other one. But if I was just using this, a lot of times I would just walk around with this in my hand. Like I know it's not ideal to have to carry this around, but if I'm walking around a city or something like that and my goal is to be taking photos, carrying this, then I can leave like my GoPro on there or something like that. Or if you have a point and shoot, it's perfect for just attach it on there and not worry about it. You can just walk around like this and be ready to shoot at a moment's notice. So one thing I would note is, even though I didn't have a problem with the tripod mount here, always just be careful. I mean, maybe with a GoPro you'll be all right because GoPros are more durable, but if you're putting a point and shoot on here, especially something more expensive like a Ricoh GR or something, maybe have a wrist strap just in case, to make sure that if you drop the tripod or something happens to the tripod mount, that you're gonna be safe. That's just me being overprotective. But as I mentioned, just not the smallest, so it's not gonna fit in your pocket or anything like that, but there are places you can put it. If you're finding this helpful, make sure you throw a like on the video, drop a comment down below about where you would take this tripod, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue making content like this to help you travel smarter. So I was actually showing this tripod to a photographer friend of mine, and he's like, oh, it's a lot like my Joby GorillaPod. And I was like, I don't think it really is, but after thinking about it for a while, they are a very similar form factor, and I think that's a good tripod to compare it to. So we have a few different versions of the GorillaPods here. And personally, I like this design a lot better. I just really like my tripod to be very sturdy, and I just know what I'm getting. This is definitely not as versatile as something like this. This is a very old version of the GorillaPod that we've had here for years. This is very versatile because you can attach it to a bunch of different things. You can like decide how long you want the legs to be. This one, like, I think we're actually missing some pieces of leg on this, like this one here, because we've just had this thing for years and years and years. But it's just very versatile. I think it's also easier to take this with you because it bends up and you can kind of fold it into any nook and cranny that you need to inside of your travel backpack. But I personally really like this because of how sturdy it is, and I just know what I'm getting. And whenever I put like a heavier camera on something like this, obviously the newer ones are a bit better, but I just feel like it's gonna crumble, and it's just not what I personally want, because the cameras that I use, I have a wide variety of cameras that I use, and I can use pretty much all of them except for probably my Pentax 6x7 with this tripod. It's not as versatile, and like if I were to, like I have a handy recorder, I have a Zoom handy recorder, like this would be very handy for that. Using the word handy too many times, because I can attach this to like a tree branch or a fence or something like that, and it's gonna stay sturdy. I don't have to worry about it falling, whereas this would not be possible with this. But just my most general shooting, and when I'm traveling around, I'm gonna use something like this because it is sturdy. I know it's gonna hold what I need it to hold, and I feel very confident in this tripod. So there you have it, the Manfrotto PIXI EVO. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.